Good afternoon, everyone. It's Kirsten here from Kirsten Foss Coaching, where we're talking about your spa business and all of the aspects that are involved in running it. So for the month of May, I've been talking about email marketing, particularly because I felt like it was the most relevant form of marketing right now in order to kind of get the most bang for your buck in terms of your effort and what kind of outcomes you get from that. So today I want to talk about the 5 platforms that I would recommend for using email marketing and one honorable mention in there. Now, the reason why I'm talking about kind of the tech that you want to use is because this is usually the place where most spa owners, and I know most of you guys are not tech savvy. Some of you are, and that's perfect. But the bulk of you guys are like, you'd rather be in the treatment room or you'd rather be at the spa, managing your team, anything but kind of looking at software and technology. So I figured this might be a good resource for you to help at least get you started on kind of where to look and where to avoid. There's so many different options for email marketing software that it can be difficult to kind of make that decision, especially if you're not tech savvy, as far as which one is the best platform to use. If we need to choose a platform that's easy to use, because if it's not easy to use for you, you're just not going to use it. All right. So this is going to be a fairly quick little Facebook Live. It's just meant to get you some information so you can start making some better decisions with your email marketing. So the first recommendation I'd like to make is MailerLite. So MailerLite I've worked with personally. I've set up clients. I set up client accounts on MailerLite, and it's what I really like about it is it's one of the, most of them are drag and drop editors. But it was just really easy to use. And so that's what that's why it's at the top of the list, is because it needs to be easy, easy, easy. It needs to have that drag and drop functionality. You want to make sure that your email software has templates that you can use, or that you can create your own template. So MailerLite, I feel like, checks all of those boxes for you. And it's just kind of simple, sweet, and allows you to just get working on sending out your emails. The next one, number 2, is Constant Contact. So Constant Contact's been around for a long time. I would say it's kind of one of the grandmas of email marketing, and I like it as well because, again, drag and drop editing, you can segment your list. Now, if you're not familiar about why you want to segment, that's kind of a little bit more of, not advanced, but once you get the basics down with email marketing, as far as how to use a platform, how to set up a template, the content in there, you're going to want to learn about segmentation, because that is where the power of email marketing starts happening. So that when you have segmented lists, it's much easier for you to pull out that segment and send very particular information. And so when we're using segmentations in email, it just basically allows us to get a super focused group that we can send that information to. So the intention is that you would get a higher result out of it with segmentation. So both MailerLite, Constant Contact have segmentation, so that's another piece in there. But again, it's just easy to use. Now, both MailerLite and Constant Contact are paid services. And usually this happens when you have a certain threshold of email subscribers. So I know that there's MailChimp. I'm going to talk about MailChimp later, but MailChimp is free up to a certain amount of subscribers. Most of them work like that, but I believe that Constant Contact, you actually have to have, you have to actually pay for your subscription. But the ones that have paid subscriptions, those models, what I really appreciate about them is that they often have really good tech support. When you're working with a free platform, there might be email support, but some of these are great because they have phone tech support. So if you're struggling on something, if something's not working the way it's supposed to, you can just call tech support and not have to flounder around with it. The third email marketing platform that I like, and I personally use this for my business, is Aweber. Again, it's not super fancy. It's a drag and drop editor, or we can custom create our own templates. It's just super, super easy. And again, it was probably one of those, if we're going to call Constant Contact the grandma of email marketing, then I'm probably going to say Aweber is the grandpa. So it's been around for a while, but what that means is it's tried and true. It's got good technology. And what I really, really appreciate is that customer support. Because when I'm looking at doing more, adding a little bit of complexity to my email sequences or my forms that I want to make, you know how you can make an opt-in form. So, you know, enter your name and email address to get this. That sometimes when we're making those, things can go a little wonky, or maybe we don't understand the process very well. So we're just not able to make it work. I love that Aweber and Constant Contact have a phone number that I can call, and usually the wait is not very long at all, and I can resolve my issue and get back to work on my email marketing. Now, if you are like a startup or you are absolutely strapped for cash, go for the free platforms. But please know that there will be limitations on them, and that might be a frustrating piece. So I think with Aweber, I'm paying $29 a month, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just, I've included it in my cost of doing business. So 29 bucks a month isn't really that bad, but I also understand when you're really strapped for cash, that can feel like a lot, especially when you're adding up your other expenses. Now the other, so that's one, two, so MailerLite was one, Constant Contact, Aweber. Now the next one is ConvertKit. So ConvertKit is another easy drag and drop platform to use. I haven't personally used it at all, but I have explored it as an option for clients. I've explored it as an option for myself. It was just a little bit too close to Aweber for me to shift over. I've got some other subscription models that I use. But with ConvertKit there, they got lots of templates, not only for emails, but if you are wanting to take that extra step past just email marketing and start moving into funnels, it doesn't mean you have to do Facebook ads or Instagram ads, but if you're just wanting to, you know, kind of look at developing out a sales funnel for yourself, ConvertKit is really good for that. They all will do that, but ConvertKit is made specifically kind of designed for bloggers, meaning it's really good for content strategy. So for those of you that maybe you've had some epiphanies through COVID, maybe you are wanting to start a blog and on a regular basis, maybe it's every couple of weeks, maybe it's once a month, maybe you are doing more video on your Facebook page. Maybe, you know, if you are planning on creating more content, then you have to be able to get your content out. It's not good enough just to create your content like a blog on your website or a Facebook Live. You need traffic to it. And so that's what email marketing is doing, is it's just driving traffic where you want it to go. So if you are looking at increasing your content strategy, which I highly recommend for spas, especially if you are specializing in skin, med spa, you absolutely have to prove that you know what you're talking about. And the only way to prove that on the digital space is to either have lots of reviews or to have a body of work like a blog that proves your knowledge. But you can't just, you know, blog and leave it up on your website and kind of hope that people read it. You have to drive traffic to it. And email marketing is one of those ways. Creating opt-ins, you know, creating a freebie to give away in that opt-in, and then triggering some email sequences. So if you're wanting to bump up your content strategy and you're looking for a new email platform, I'd urge you to take a look at ConvertKit. All right, the last one I have here for my top 5 is Drip. Now that is has some specialization in there for e-commerce. So again, these last 2 platforms I'm talking about is if you've had some epiphanies about your overall marketing strategy, and if one of those things has been to shift stronger into e-commerce, you might want to look into drip.com, because that's kind of their specialization in there. All of these have the, drag and drop editors and all that kind of stuff. So they're kind of similar features, but they do give you some different options. Some are better than others for things like e-commerce or content strategies. All right, I have one honorable mention that I found. I haven't used it before, but I thought I have seen it. I've looked into it. And what I thought was definitely worth messaging or worth mentioning is the fact that Drip has not only email functionality, but SMS to send text messages. So I felt like that was definitely worthy of an honorable mention as number 6 for an email platform that I'd recommend for you. So I know I've seen in some of the spa owner groups that, many of you often are looking for SMS options and services. So if you could put your SMS and your email together, that might save you, at the automation of it, that might save you some time and energy. All right, let's talk about MailChimp. So MailChimp's been around for a long time. I've personally used MailChimp a lot. Some of our clients use MailChimp. And it has been, in the past, a fairly great place to start. But what I'm actually noticing these days, especially in this past year, is that they seem to be pulling back some of their features on their paid, on their free model. So what that ends up being is that just ends up being really limiting for you. So I just find that the design is kind of limiting, the templates are limiting. Where it gets really limiting is if, it's definitely limiting if you're at a certain number of email subscribers. You're going to have to shift into the paid model. And if you're many of these platforms have the ability to make landing pages or sales pages, which I feel like for the spa industry is a little bit more advanced, but I want to keep sharing that as an option for you in case you're ready to take it on, because creating those sales funnels, you need some sort of landing page. And if you can, have a system where it's the email as well as landing pages and they're both fairly functional, I would go with that rather than, paying for another subscription service. So, if you're looking at building funnels for your business, definitely the MailChimp landing pages are not good at all. So I wouldn't recommend going that way. They're very, very limiting. You can't edit them very well. They're only templates. You can't kind of build it out yourself. So I would say, I'm putting a caution sign on using MailChimp just because it is limiting. And when you get better at email marketing, you're going to be really frustrated. So I would be recommending that if you're looking at MailChimp, or maybe if you have MailChimp and you're feeling that kind of pinch too as far as limitations, then take a look at some of these other platforms like MailerLite, Constant Contact, Aweber, Drip, ConvertKit, and Sendinblue. I know it still feels like there's a lot to choose from, but at least it kind of narrows it down for you. So what do you want to look for in an email platform? So you want that easy drag and drop editing. You want to be able to segment your lists. You want to definitely be able to, this is a huge one, you want to have some integration with your spa CRM. That's your client management system, client relationship management system. So that's your Booker, that is your, what else have we got? Timely, we've got Mevo, like all of those client management systems typically have some sort of email integration connection abilities. Some of them are, I think it's, somebody was just telling me the other day, I think it was Kristen, that she was looking at a new platform and the only email integration it had with it was MailChimp, which was a bit of a bummer, but that doesn't mean that you can't integrate it. It's a little bit more complex, but if you haven't heard of a service called Zapier, Zapier.com, and it's kind of like an if this then that. So we're starting to get a little bit more complicated, but there are options if you have a platform that won't integrate with something like MailerLite or Constant Contact and only integrates with MailChimp. But the key piece I want you to pay attention to here is that whatever email system you have, that it's integrating well with your spa booking system, because this is going to save you a huge amount of time. It allows you to have your spa booking system where it holds all those client emails and kind of moves it in that list over into your email system. So otherwise you have to do it manually, and that's a total pain in the butt. You also want to look for automation so that it has opt-in. It has the ability to have opt-in forms and can trigger emails, like thank you emails if somebody's opted in. You want them to have templates. Most of them do. And if you're looking for very specialized capabilities like e-commerce, funnels, content strategies, that's the other little piece of features that you want to make sure is going to be working with those kinds of initiatives you're working on. So that's it. So quick and dirty. Our top 5 are MailerLite, Constant Contact, Aweber, ConvertKit, and Drip. And then the honorable mention is Send in Blue for the email and SMS functionality. So who's bumping up their email marketing since they've had to close their business? And maybe you even know you're supposed to be upping your email marketing, but maybe you're like, I don't know what to do, which is really common too. If you're tired of trying to figure out what to do for your email content, if you're tired of figuring out how these platforms, then you can certainly outsource it to myself. Actually, you're going to be outsourcing it to my team. I lead the charge, but we have we have packages both for email marketing as well as blog ghostwriting, because they kind of go together. You can't blog without making sure you are sending it. You're not making sure you're sending it out to your list at the very minimum. So if you want to outsource it to us, send me a DM, or you can head over to my website at kirstenfoss.com and fill out some of the contact information in there, and we can get things started. I mean, even if you just want to have a conversation about what that looks like, that's okay too. All right, that's it for today's Thursday Spa Business Break. I will be back here next Thursday, still talking about spa business. We'll see you then.